The reason why I'm making you pay attention to this is, you see, the Bible was not written today. How many of you know? You don't go to a press and say, this is the first time the Bible has been written, and this is no. The Bible was written thousands of years ago. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew, but not in modern Hebrew. It is written in ancient Hebrew. So the language it is written in and the time it is written is important for understanding the Bible. Now, at the time the Bible was written, there were no punctuation marks. You know what a punctuation mark? Full stop, comma, exclamation mark, all of that. It wasn't in the language. So as a matter of fact, when you are reading the Bible in Hebrew, there's no full stop anywhere. It's just going. That is why some people decided this thing is too much. We have to divide it into verses and chapters, so people don't go, there's no full stop. You start from Genesis and from chapter 1, you start in the beginning, and then it ends at the last verse. And there's no full stop. I mean, you can't make meaning out of it. So people had to find ways of making sense. Where does an idea stop so that it will be a verse, and the second idea starts, it's a second verse, and so on and so forth. So there were no punctuation marks. Not only that, there was nothing like capital letters and small letters, small caps and big caps. They are recent inventions. Even Greek didn't have it. So there's only one cap, and there's nothing like exclamation mark and underlining, nothing like that. So today when I am talking and I want something to be important and I'm typing, if for example, if I wanted created to be important, I would just press caps, and created would be capital C, capital R, capital. You get that? Why? Because I want the person who is reading it to see that created is important in this verse. Are you getting that? All right. But in the Bible days, they didn't have that. So when they wanted something to be important, they used repetition. Repetition. So when you read the New Testament, for example, and you read, truly, truly, I say to you, or verily, verily, it doesn't necessarily mean that Jesus said verily, verily, but it is an instrument of language to show that this thing is very important. So the word is used twice. Are you following me? It's part of the ways to understand the Bible. So as you read verses, you look at words repeated in close proximity. It means the writer wants you to pay attention to some words. So you find this small verse, so many repetitions. God is repeated. God. Elohim. Created is repeated. Image is created. Now, just for simple reason, if you highlight all the repeated words in Genesis 1:27, it will be God created image. God created image. It's very different from Genesis 2:7. God breathed. God created. Two different actions. So what does it mean? So who is doing the creation? God. What is God doing? He's creating. There are different words for created in the Hebrew language, but the word that was chosen to describe is the word that is also used at the beginning of Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created. That word means to create something out of nothing. To create something. So you literally take something that does not exist and make it exist. It is the same thing that happens here. Something that did not exist is being made to exist. And what is being made to exist is called image. Image of what? Image of God. So God is creating his image. He's creating something that looks like him. But that something that looks like him is not what he did in Genesis 2:7. Genesis 2:7 came from the dust of the ground. But this one, this image, it came from God. It came from God. So God created image. In Latin, it's called the imago Dei, the image of God. It is this image of God that distinguishes human beings from every other creation that had taken place prior to this. Because all creation came from the ground. All creation, even the plants came from the ground. The animals came from the ground. The birds from the ground. Everything came from the ground. The body of man came from the ground. The only thing that God created that did not come from already existing material from the ground is that which he did in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 when he created image. He created image. Do you understand what I'm saying? The image of God is not flesh and blood. The image of God is not physical. The image of God is spirit. God is a spirit. So when he said, let us make man in our image, he wasn't creating a physical representation of himself. He was creating something that has his nature, spirit, and he calls it image.